Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi here on this Monday morning, coming up on 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm going to start to try and do a short live stream in the morning and then the longer one in the evening, just to keep the weather fresh and updated here. Starting off the new week, nice and quiet. There really isn't too much going on with regards to precipitation and moisture. I'm going to start off with the regional radar from yesterday, and you can see that, at one point, at least in my area, we were kind of stuck in the middle here with not too much happening, and that pretty much remained the case all day long. And why this is not, it's great how this thing just, there we go, updated. Thank you. So this is what we've gone to now. The radar is very, very quiet. We're not seeing anything as far as precipitation is concerned through much of the Northeast. So again, pretty much a quiet day. Bringing up the U.S. radar will show you that even across the country, again, referencing first, show you yesterday during the midday hours, and there was that activity in the east. But again, even across the U.S., things pretty quiet here going forward for today. There really isn't too much happening on the radar this morning. We've got some odd showers up going on in parts of the northern Rockies and northern plains. Otherwise, the rest of the U.S. is very quiet. We are also not seeing much in the way of severe weather to worry about today. The risk has been minimal for the last couple of days, and I think that we're probably going to see some quiet times here for the next 2 days, today and Tuesday. It does pick up a bit as we move on into Wednesday. But here's today's, and you have this area of marginal risk in the western plains, western South Dakota, northwestern Nebraska, northeastern Wyoming, southeastern Montana, and that's really about it. And just a bit of a general area of thunderstorms in South Florida and also through parts of the Gulf states and the southeast. Kind of looks more like a late spring, early summer type severe weather profile when you take a look at that. And going forward this week, we are not seeing any big weather systems to speak of. I think the only day that really looks like a problem as far as maybe some active thunderstorms might be on Wednesday. And that is going to be in the western areas of the Ohio Valley as the next weather system starts its move eastward. And we'll bring up the latest run of the GFS for you. Actually, you could even start off with the NAM. Why don't we do that? We'll start off with the latest NAM model. And there we go. Always slow to load. Even here, the NAM model doesn't look all that crazy. But this is... Why is this yesterday's? Lately, is this the latest run? Bingo. Okay, here we go. So here's the NAM model for today. You can see all the precip is well offshore. Still have a bit of an onshore flow over me, so that's keeping us in some clouds, although the sun is trying to work through. I think that over the next few days, the onshore flow is pretty weak, but it is there, so it'll be enough at least to keep some low clouds and maybe some patchy fog during the late night and early morning hours along coastal areas and maybe even in a few inland areas before it burns off. Notice, by the way, the frontal boundary off the southeast coast is well out to the east. Then as we move on into Tuesday night and Wednesday, you start to see low pressure in Iowa. There's also another wave that comes up offshore, but much of the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic states sort of stuck in between. And this is where you get the severe weather risk. And again, the NAM really doesn't show all that much here with regards to some thunderstorm activity. Very, very weak weather systems plodding along. So I'm just not, overly enthused here as far as any major activity is concerned. we can widen out, and let's use the GFS here from last night going forward. So you do have low pressure on Thursday coming out of the Rockies with some precipitation up across the northern Rockies and into the northwest, all rain. In the east, you've got this cold front that comes through late Thursday with a shot of cool air behind it. But we're going to gradually make a transition over into milder air, warmer air when we get into Mother's Day as ridge builds in the east. So we're going to see troughing in the west. And next weekend, you've got a low that comes out into the western plains and showing even some snows in the central Rockies. The frontal boundary is going to set up across the lakes and on up into central and northern New England and upstate New York. So that at least initially argues for some rather warm weather starting on Sunday and probably lasting into a good part of next week. By the way, there is going to be a flow of some tropical moisture coming up into the southeastern part of the U.S. and points northward next week. So I don't think this is going to be a warm-up that's going to exactly be picture perfect. There probably will be some pop-up showers and thunderstorms in the pattern that I see developing for next week. And when we look at the upper air really fast, and here we go. Always a bit slow to load. Pattern doesn't show a whole, there's really no blocking, so everything's kind of moving along in the across Canada. You can see where all the dark blue is over Greenland and over northeastern Canada. Lower than normal pressures there. So you have a strongly positive North Atlantic oscillation, and you see troughs rotating around it. So that does mean some cold fronts coming through every couple of days. But then you get that ridge that builds. It's an east-west ridge that builds from the Atlantic westward into the Gulf states. It's not north-south oriented. So one of the things that happens in a situation like that is that when you have that east-west jet, it allows for short waves in the flow that are running in the jet stream that's along the Canadian border. If one of those is a little bit stronger, that will allow for occasional cold fronts to come through. It's not going to be a warm up and you get into a warm pattern and it stays that way for a week at a time. There will be some troughs swinging by, as you can see there, but the ridge is pretty dominant. Also, don't be too shocked if we wind up seeing, hurricane season starts in the Pacific on May 15th, so wouldn't be a huge shocker if we start to see maybe a system pop up on the Pacific side. It's, of course, a little bit too early on the Atlantic side for anything of consequence to happen. Not that it hasn't happened in May. We certainly have seen tropical systems in May, but they are usually fairly rare. I do want to point out that in Europe, we do have a fairly busy pattern. There's been quite a bit of rain across parts of the Mediterranean from Greece on eastward into Turkey. And we'll show you that on the surface map. And we do also have some Atlantic action going on with storms that are out in the Atlantic Ocean with that fast flow, lower than normal pressures out over the North Atlantic. You get these storms that swing through with arms of rain into England and Ireland. This is for Tuesday. And you notice you can see the shower activity that's scattered around the Mediterranean there that fires up every day. You do have a fairly strong gale center that's going to pass midway between Greenland and England on Wednesday. You can see there's a deep low out there, so that brings a wave of rain and wind in. And then yet another one follows late this week with a cyclone that actually gets fairly close to Western Ireland before it begins to weaken. So it looks like some rain with a fair amount of regularity coming into the British Isles and into, as it's referred to, the continent. So that pretty much sums it up for this morning. I know the audience size in the morning. It's a Monday morning. Everybody's off to work, but I just wanted to at least put up a fresh video here. And so 99 Wolves, David Schwartz, David Allen, and Raymond Goldbalt. Big highs to you four on the chat board today. Quite hot over the last few days in Britain, the mid-80s. I don't think it will last much longer. No, David, you saw I just did the European. I was doing the GFS off the European there, off of Europe, showing you what's happening. You're with that fast flow developing in the Atlantic. You're going to be getting weather systems coming in and at least bringing some rain. So that should make for cooler weather conditions overall. And a big smile back to David Schwartz. All right, so let's leave it here. Just to give you an idea of what's going on later today. There'll be a Joe and Joe show tonight at 9:15 on Facebook. I'll do my regular YouTube live stream at 6 o'clock Eastern time, and we'll evaluate again what is going on. Just a quick mention on the descriptor for the video. You'll find a link to Amazon. I have a relationship with Amazon. I just want to disclose it to support my channel. If you shop on Amazon using the link above, it provides a way for me to earn some fees from Amazon as an affiliate marketer. So if you do use it, I thank you very, very much. And thank you all for being so supportive. Raymond did the higher elevation, gave that line on Friday a boost. Yeah, you guys, they all fell apart by me. You guys did really. You guys up in upstate New York saw a fairly strong line of storms develop out of that front, but here they just all pretty much petered out. We actually had the stronger storms the day before when we hit the low 90s, and part of the problem on my end, down my end, was the fact that we didn't have as much daytime heating to work with, and that cut back on the southern extent of the severe weather. All right, folks, have a great Monday. We'll see you tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern time on the regular YouTube live stream. And once again, the Joe and Joe Show, myself and Joe Rayo, 9:15 on Facebook.